for Thursday's suicide bombing in Xinjiang, which killed 39 people and injured dozens. This comes as security is beefed up in the capital, with Beijing declaring a one-year crackdown on terrorism. Britain Planet reports.
Beijing police are making their presence felt across the capital in a show of force state media says is aimed at deterring terrorist attacks. Hundreds of officers have been deployed in the city's tourist hotspots. The entire police force has been told to remain on standby in case they're needed, and the ones already on duty are told they must be ready to reach the scene of any incident within a minute. ATV's film crew spotted some officers equipped with video cameras to film any suspicious activity. At train stations, security officials are checking bags and screening people using airport-style security clearance equipment. The clampdown in the capital comes a fortnight ahead of the 25th anniversary of the June 4th crackdown in Tiananmen Square, although that's not officially the reason for it. The security alert follows Thursday's terrorist strike in Xinjiang, which killed 39 people and left more than 90 injured. In the worst single act of violence in the recent history of the troubled region, 5 suicide bombers in 2 vehicles blew themselves up after ramming into a crowded market in downtown Urumqi. Officials have named 5 people they suspect were behind the attack. Nuramat Aplibiz, Mehmet Memtimen, Rajhimjan Mehmet, Memtimen Mamet and Ablet Abdukadir are all believed to be ethnic Uyghurs. 4 of them were said to be suicide bombers, while 1 is being held in Urumqi. Yesterday, the Foreign Ministry said it believes the culprits might have links to overseas terrorist organisations and that they were influenced by religious extremism online. It's the latest in a string of attacks Beijing has blamed on militant Islamic separatists. Just 3 weeks ago, 1 person was killed and 80 injured in a terrorist assault at an Urumqi train station. Officials have announced a one-year crackdown on terrorism, which includes deploying armed forces in Xinjiang. State media said the anti-terror efforts will see authorities use a heavy hand to deliver a hard punch. On a visit to the region, Public Security Minister Guo Shengkun underlined the mainland's commitment to fighting extremist elements. He also inspected police tactical units on the street and attended a ceremony with other officials to mourn the victims of the attack.
Pro-government lawmakers are calling for a penalty system to punish those who disrupt electrical meetings with rowdy behavior after the chief executive had a bun thrown at him this week. But electrical President Yeung says he doubts it would be an effective deterrent. Anne-Marie Sim reports.
For the first time in Hong Kong's history, the chief executive's question and answer session had to be cut short after radical lawmaker Albert Chan threw a bun at Leung Chun-ying. The Radicals' rowdy protest, which also involved some abuse being yelled at Hong Kong's leader, has prompted pro-government lawmaker Wong Kwok-hing to suggest setting up a penalty system, whereby councillors who engage in extreme behaviour in the chamber get penalised. The Federation of Trade Unions legislator suggested deducting the offending lawmakers' pay or barring them from attending meetings for a certain time period as punishment. Wong believes such antics in the chamber detract attention away from the actual issues being discussed. Legco chief Tsang Yok-sing, however, doubts that penalising elected councillors would be an effective deterrent.
I'm not sure the council has the power to impose penalties on elected members. Even if we can do so, even if penalties are imposed, I am not sure that would be an effective way to prevent the kind of actions they're supposed to deter. Because in the last analysis, it is the expectation of the people, of the general public, the expectations of the voters that really matters, that will really shape elected members' behavior. So it is always a political decision on the part of the members what kind of actions they would take within the chamber to make their points and express their views.
Democrat Emily Lau said there should be open discussion on changing LegCo's rules of procedure to cover what should happen to disruptive politicians.
If you want to deduct the salary of lawmakers or stop them from attending certain sittings or certain meetings, we have to change the rules, and there are procedures for doing it. But I think all these ideas, suggestions can be discussed and debated. And I also think that when the Rules of Procedure Committee holds its meetings, I think the meeting should be open to the public. And I think my party will be very, very cautious in approaching such means, particularly when the council is not all democratically constituted.
During Thursday's question and answer session, the LegCo president ordered People Power's Albert Chan and Raymond Chan, as well as Leung Kwok-hung from the League of Social Democrats, to be removed from the chamber because of their rowdy behaviour. But Leung refused to leave and was restrained by several security guards.
Some people have suggested, oh, why don't you get the security guards or the police to come in and manhandle the member and just take him out of the room? I don't think that is really on.
Anne Chang of the pro-government DAB party claimed that before the handover, the LegCo president had the power to exercise his own judgment and suspend a lawmaker's salary if he or she stepped out of line. But Lau poured scorn on that idea, which led to a heated exchange on the airwaves this morning. I'm sorry, I've been a lawmaker for 20-odd years now, and I've never heard of that rule, Lau said. Perhaps people have wanted to amend LegCo's rules, but I've never heard of that one before. Such rules were enacted in 1929. It's rule number 23, sections 1 to 9. You can go check it for yourself, Chung retorted. Frederick Fung of the grassroots ADPL also spoke out against lawmakers throwing projectiles at officials, saying such extreme actions should not be mixed up with filibustering. But Fung believes a lawmaker's right to filibuster should be protected. The filibustering lawmakers from pro-democracy radical groups People Power and the League of Social Democrats had hoped to use the tactic to secure a universal pension scheme and cash handouts for all Hong Kongers. After dragging on for more than 3 weeks, the debate on the budget bill finally ended last night, and lawmakers began voting on nearly 1,200 amendments. The LegCo chief hopes voting on the amendments can be completed by the 4th of June.
Police Commissioner Andy Yeung has made it clear he won't approve illegal gatherings that involve paralyzing Hong Kong's business centre. Yeung stressed that the force had to maintain law and order in the city. At LegCo on Thursday, Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying reiterated his stance that the Occupy Central movement is unlawful, and it would be impossible for police to issue a letter of no objection, a prerequisite for any big public protest, to the organizers. The police chief denied that Leung had placed pressure on the force not to issue the letter. The police have arrested a man in Sheung Shui Wai suspected of murdering someone with a fruit knife. The suspect tried to escape, but was caught after a dramatic chase early this morning. Winner Wong reports.
Police received a report of an attack in Mun Hau Chin in Sheung Shui Wai at around 11 o'clock last night. Officers arrived and found the 47-year-old victim, surnamed Liu, unconscious on the ground with multiple knife wounds on his chest, abdomen, arms, and legs. The suspect, also named Liu, allegedly attacked the victim while he was walking towards his car after having dinner. The victim tried to get help from a nearby shop, while the attacker fled the scene. The suspect was found hiding in the back streets of the village and tried to run away. The officers ran after him and eventually caught up on the outskirts of Mun Hau Chin. Police say the suspect had bloodstains on his clothes and was carrying a fruit knife in his bag. The victim was the owner of a garage in Lok Ma Chau, while the attacker is unemployed. Both live in Mun Hau Chin and were known to have held grudges against one another for a long time. Villagers say they were often seen arguing and fighting. Tai Po's District Crime Squad is investigating. Winner Wong, ATV News.
Villagers in Ta Kwu protested against the government's poultry quarantine facility today, saying they weren't consulted about the project. Dozens of villagers from Ping Che Chun sat on the roads surrounding the building site, blocking traffic to the area. They want guarantees that they won't be affected if there is an outbreak of bird flu, and that traffic won't become too congested due to the facility. The villagers left late after talking with the police. Health Chief Yeung later appealed to the villagers for understanding and assured them the facility is designed to affect them as little as possible. Overseas, Thailand's army says detained former Prime Minister Yeung is in a safe place and that she and other political leaders will be released after they reach common ground on solving the country's problems. Arthur Urquiola reports.
Thailand's army faced the media for the first time since it seized power on Thursday. It said that recently ousted Prime Minister Yeung is in a safe place after being detained yesterday, along with leaders of political parties. She can be held for up to a week.
If we found that there is no significant link and no link at all to the conflict, and we are able to find the common ground and seek for a common understanding among those present regarding how to resolve the situation in the country, we would release them for sure.
The army insists it only seized power because it had to, and usually tries to stay out of politics.
We try to stay away from the politics. We believe that political conflict should be solved by using political means or political measures. However, it didn't work. That's why we have to be here.
The army also promised that although it can use all kinds of measures to deal with protesters, it will only take necessary action.
Under this Martial Law Act, we are allowed to use all kinds of coercive measures to deal with the protester. But as mentioned earlier, that we enforce only some section in the law.
A tiny anti-coup rally was held in Bangkok. 100 or so protesters voiced their opposition to the military's move outside a shopping center. They want the military out of office and called for elections. Organizers said they plan to hold more protests every day the military is in power. But some soldiers arrived and the protests soon broke up. This woman complained that they weren't allowed to speak their minds and accused the soldiers of being brainwashed. But there were signs of things returning to normal elsewhere in the city, following months of street protests. Aside from dispersing protesters, the military has banned gatherings of more than 5 people, censored the media, and imposed a 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew. Soldiers have been keeping close watch on roads, leading in and out of the capital. Cleaning staff cleared up the area where red shirt protesters had camped out before being kicked out yesterday. Arthur Urquiola, ATV News.
At least 8 people have been killed in severe landslides and floods following days of heavy rain in Guangdong province. And in other news from the mainland, Taipei has expressed shock at yesterday's bus accident in Fujian province, in which at least 7 Taiwanese tourists were killed. Here's Britain Clannett.
There was chaos as rescue officials tried to pull survivors from a bus which toppled into the Julong River in Fujian province at around noon yesterday. The bus carrying 26 passengers, most of them Taiwanese tourists, was travelling from Hua'an to Xiamen in heavy rain when it fell through a bamboo forest and plunged into the river. Several people were killed while others are still missing and feared dead. More than a dozen were rushed to hospital with injuries. Taiwanese President Ma Ying-jeou